called Work Smarter, Not Harder. And what Lauren and I kind of decided to do to map out for the rest of the year was we wanted to do sessions that were under this theming, because let's all be real. We know this year has been hard. And at this point, it's not about like, what's the newest tool I can use, or what's the new strategy I can use, or it's about like, let's take things that we're already doing and just do them a little bit more efficiently, or use the resources that are there to help us cut some time. And so we just wanted to work on giving you guys tips and tricks to make your life hopefully easier as we go, because that's all of us right now. Some of us, we're making it to spring break, but hopefully you can take at least one tip today and just help you out.
All right, so I'm up first. So this one was this has been a total game changer for me the past month and a half. I was telling Ashley, I'm one of the people that gets super overwhelmed by a full unread inbox. But I didn't know what to do with all the emails that were coming in that were professional learning resources from Flipgrid, from Nearpod, from EdTech. I'm like, I cannot keep all these straight and I don't have time to get to them yet. Maybe spring break, I'll have a day that I feel the energy that I can sit down and do that. But I was having them sit in my email inbox and they weren't organized. I wasn't looking at them and it was stressing me out. So Ashley's like, well, have you used Task before? I was like, speak this magic to me. What are you talking about? So what it is it's the ability to take your emails and place them into a to-do list. So if you're somebody that's used Keep before, this totally has overhauled Keep for me. I don't even use Google Keep anymore. This is like my new go-to. Because what it does is it not only, and I think Nick Carpenter is in here. Oh, Nick, get ready. This is going to change your world. This is going to be awesome. What it does is it cleans up your unread inbox. It helps you prioritize emails to answer first. And it can place them on your Google Calendar so you make sure you reply to them when you need to or look at them when you need to. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. So welcome to my inbox. Let's say, for example, I have this thing from Screencastify. I know I probably want to take a minute and look at it, but I don't have time today. But I don't want it sitting in my unread inbox because it stresses me out to see that past 10. I'm just going to be honest. That's my stress levels past 10. So what I can do is if you see up here, it has a check mark and a plus sign. If I click on that, it says add to tasks, and it just brought out a task list for me. So if you're like, well, wait, where did that task list come from? It is on the right-hand side of your screen right here in your email. If I click on that, it bumps it out for me. The awesome thing about this is you can have multiple task lists. So I have a Canvas task list. So these are Canvas emails that I need to look at. These are professional learning resources that I want to look at. But these aren't sitting in my unread inbox. I don't have to have them there to remind me. I have an entire list here. And what's awesome about this is so if I go to Canvas, and let me just click on this follow-up call email. This is something that's got multiple pieces that I need to look at. If I click on this, it takes me directly to that email in my inbox. I don't have to search for that email anymore. I don't have to guess what that email's called. So I click on it, it's right there. And again, if you're in your email inbox, the way you do that is just click on one. Here's another one from Quizzes. I go up here, add to my tasks, and it puts it on my task list. So as you can see, this put it under my Canvas list. I don't want Quizzes under my Canvas. So if I edit, I can change that to my professional learning resources. So now here's where for me, it's the big game changer. I have a massive list of professional learning resources. And to be honest, it just keeps growing. And I'm like, I need to put one of these on my radar at least once a week. So I make sure I get to them. If I go into edit, I can add a date and a time. And Nick, I think this is where it could be a game changer from the counseling end. Is let's say, for example, I need to make sure I answer this email or reply to this email on Monday or look at this email on Monday. I'm going to say I'm going to do that on my day off. Yeah, right. At 4 p.m. So I'm going to press OK. Now take a look at what happens. When I go into my Google Calendar, let me go into Monday, it added it to my Google Calendar for me. So if you have emails that you need to reply to at a certain time or even by the end of the day, you can place those on your Google Calendar. But here's what's amazing. If I click on this, take a look. I can get to the email from that calendar event. So I can click on it, click on view related email, and it takes me right in my Gmail where I need to go. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can place these on my calendar and I can get to them easily. So these are things that maybe like you get an email earlier in the day from a parent and you're like, I don't want that sitting in my unread email box, but I want to get to it by the end of the day. Add it to your task and put a time on it, and that'll help to make sure you can get to it then and without searching in your email. Ashley, do you have
Also
anything?
Yeah, I was going to say you can also add, if you can go back there, you can also add just tasks in there as well, like in your to-do list. It doesn't have to be connected. The email is nice because it automatically brings that email listing with you. But you can add in the tasks that you want to do. So this is like, I would use Keep a lot for like task list. Add subtasks in. You can still do that date and time piece. You could even repeat things that you need to do every Friday morning. So you can kind of set those and check them off. I love checking things off a list. So that's where like tasks does the things that I wish Keep could have done more easily. There you go. So I love the checking off. That's my favorite part.
All right. So my next one is, this is a huge one. This could make you work a lot smarter, not harder, real quick. So Flipgrid, Nearpod, and Canvas have so many pre-made resources. It's unbelievable, especially Canvas. Has anybody here ever used the Canvas pre-made resources, just out of curiosity? Oh, it's about ready to change your life. Okay, so if I'm in Canvas and I go down here on the side to comments, when I say this is unreal, how much is in here, it's unbelievable. Let's say, for example, I'm teaching plate tectonics, and let's see if I can spell it right. Tectonics. There are 178 pre-made resources in Canvas already. And you're like, you know what? I don't have time to look through all 178. I'm just looking to see if there's a quick check-in quiz for my kids. I can filter by quizzes. And there are 88 pre-made quizzes on plate tectonics. Why am I spending my entire day going through and making a full-blown quiz on plate tectonics when there's stuff already in here? And as you can see, they have download numbers and favorites. So this one's got 200 downloads. That's pretty good, and 12 favorites. If I click on it, it's going to open up a preview of what that quiz looks like to you. So think about it. If you ever build a quiz in Canvas, you know how time-consuming it is? I mean, it's got hotspot questions. It's got multiple choice questions. I mean, this is a lengthy test. If you import this to your course, you can edit it just like a test you created on your own. So if you're like, I like 15 of the questions, but I don't need the other 15, delete them out and use it as you'd like. I think the other thing that's really nice is, well, a couple of things. I came from a student population that always wanted extra practice. Give me extra practice. Do you have any extra practice? And that was so hard to come up with. This is a great way to do that on something that's pre-made. Another thing is if I filter by page, think about how long it takes to build a resource page for something. Here's an example. Let me see if there's one with a lot of, okay, so here's one of the 5 downloads. If I click on this is just a page, like a notes page that I could import that has an image in it. So maybe there's something in here that's already made that you can use in Canvas Commons. If you've never been in Canvas Commons, in February of all times, this could be a really helpful resource to help us get through the end of the year with our sanity. So that is a wonderful thing that you can use. Another thing is in Nearpod. If you haven't used Nearpod yet, this is a really foolproof way to jump into it. If you go to Nearpod Library, you can search by publisher. So there are a ton of like reputable publishers. I know there's Khan Academy in here, CK12, Desmos. These are pre-made lessons that you can deploy already, which is incredible. But you can also go over here to the left-hand side, and I see Eric Bass in here. See at least one math teacher. I'm not sure what everybody else teaches, but I know Eric's math. So if I click on math, and Eric, I was just working with a high school geometry teacher on congruence. We were talking about congruence. If I type in congruence and search it, look at all the pre-made lessons on congruence already built. I mean, this is a lesson plan for a day that I can go through, and you can click on it, look through what's made already. But that's a Nearpod, and that's one topic. So that's incredible. And that's especially great if you've got students at home and at school, a really easy thing they can do together. And then the last thing is Flipgrid. Flipgrid for me is the biggest thing that I get stuck in a rut. I feel like I ask the same questions, I get the same type of answers. I want kids to think differently. So they've got something that when you open Flipgrid, it typically opens to this page where it says discussion. There's this thing called Discovery, or it used to be called the Disco Library. So I know there's some science teachers in here, actually a handful of science teachers in here. I think, Bert, your history, right? Is that right, Ashley? Is Bert in here? Okay. So let me go down here and let me search for, let's search Civil War. Because I know, oh, wow. Obviously, I need to search how to spell things. Civil War. Okay. And I'm going to say, give me my middle school Civil War. Oh, Bert, this is a really good idea if you need something. This could be really cool. I don't know if you teach Civil War, but it's cool. It could be cool. So if I click on, let me see, there was a Civil War news, Civil War news report. This is a pre-made topic already where the kids have to report on a battle of the Civil War. I mean, this is something I would have never thought of myself, but it's in here for me to use. All I have to do is press add topic and choose which group in my Flipgrid account I want to add that to. And now that topic is in your Flipgrid account. So if you feel like you're stuck in a rut, and I think there's probably a ton for science in here that already have like the stimulus in there for kids to respond to, whether it's in the Commons, in Nearpod, or in Flipgrid, there is so much pre-made. Don't exhaust yourself trying to come up with the next best thing. Try to pull something from there to save time.
Yeah, and I know you didn't spend a ton of time on there, but they have those partners in there that
Yes.
are the same as Nearpod, that are reputable groups that you're going to see things code.org is up there, Discovery Education. I mean, ones that are good quality pieces that you can find in there.
Absolutely. All right, you're up.
All right. Oh, let me get myself, sorry, on the right slide, and then I'll.
Is any of that helpful? Were any of those tips things that you think that maybe you could use? And okay, good. Ashley's got some that were mind blowing, the last two groups. So we'll see if they blow your minds.
Wrong way. Great. So the first one I'm going to do is talking about Google Drive. And if you were like me, I think it's sometime in the past year, you might have noticed that Google Drive, when you go to it, starts you out on a new page. So if you're also like me, when you saw that new page, you said, no, I don't need this. I just need to get to my drive, get out of the way, and let me move on. But there's a really super useful tool in there called Workspaces, that I'm going to show you a little bit about, because what Workspaces is it's an organization tool that can help you access things really quickly that you need to get to frequently. So, and the nice thing is you can use it without changing anything about how your Google Drive is actually structured. It's not an organization system for in your drive. It's I need to access these things quickly, and I don't want to have to go digging for them repeatedly. So when you go into Google Drive, you may start out with, at this page, the priority page. If you decide you don't want to start out here, or you're not seeing this priority page, just so you know, it is under your settings gear and settings. There's this checkbox that says make priority the default homepage. Top here, this priority area is actually using, so if you're creeped out by this, maybe you don't want to use the priority page, but is an area where Google uses its artificial intelligence to figure out things that you might want to see. So it kind of learns your habits and what you're looking at in Drive. So it might look for things that you've opened recently, that have been edited by someone recently. This is something where a comment has been added in recently. Things have been, so Lauren likes to do this. She assigns things to me all the time in Google. Tasks to do. She just don't have enough to do, so she put my name in things all the time. But it brings up things that you might need to see up at the top, and you can access them quickly. But the place I want to point out here, this I hadn't explored much until more recently, is called Workspaces. And Workspaces works a lot like the starring. So if you go under your star menu, you star things that you need to access, that you don't want to necessarily have to dig through your drive for. But the problem with starring things is, number one, for me, I end up leaving things in the starring that for like years. So that's my own issue. But the other real issue is there's no way to organize this. You can organize it by name, like you can do alphabetical, but there's not really any way to group things together. And that's where this workspaces comes in. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and create a workspace titled MS Resources. So thinking about things, and when you first do it, it's going to ask you, it's going to suggest a few things based off of what you named it. But you can always go into your drive, but thinking about things that you might need as a teacher to access frequently, but you don't want to necessarily have to go find or search in drive. One of those things might be the bell schedule. If I keep scrolling down, these are things that are in my recent, but I could go search through my drive for them as well. The bell schedule, long-term absences, our testing calendar, those things I can insert into this workspace, and now they're grouped together, but it didn't matter if I'm the owner of the document. It doesn't matter what folder it's in. If it's in a shared drive, it's my drive, it's shared with me. You can compile all of those things in without having to worry where they're located. They can go in this workspace, and now I have access to it easily. I think I forgot to show this in the other groups, but if I'm in my drive, and let's say this presentation, and you can do it on any file. I just don't want to scroll all the way down. If you right click on a file, you can actually add it to the workspace right here, and it'll give you the list of all the names you have. So if I want to put that in MS Resources as well. So you can add to that workspace, but now I have all of those items grouped together, easy to access, kind of like a folder, but not messing with any of the structure. So for instance, if you teach more than one class and you're using Google Slides for your weekly agendas, it probably would be nice to have like a weekly agendas workspace where you just put your agendas in there, and then you don't have to like go dig to get to your English 8, your English BVA. Like you can put both of them in the same place and not have to go in and find each one individually. Or like Megan, since you teach multiple courses, I know putting those resources all in one spot without having to like take it out of the class that you need it. So for me, workspaces has been a real helpful piece. And if you're done with it, or you're like, oh, I don't really need this one right now, you can hide the workspace. So it's just not one of the main things you see, but it's hidden down here. So like Plan C work, I still want it to be there. We hopefully will never have to use that a group again, but it's there so I can access it at a later point if I need. I can restore it. All right, so Drive Workspaces is awesome. We have 9 minutes left, 8 minutes left. We're going to get through this and get you out on time. Fourth tip is about this. This is super easy, but super, super helpful. Canvas URL tricks. So what's a URL? First off, URL is this address up at the top. You can make some really super quick changes to the URL that can make your life so much easier in Canvas. So let's just get to it, because the first one is in new quizzes. And just so you know, if you're using classic quizzes in Canvas, that will eventually be going away, not in the next year. It's after a year or so, it's going to be phased out. But for anybody who uses new quizzes, you'd feel my pain here, because we've all done this. You go in and you're like, okay, I need to update the due date and some things about this quiz. And I click on the name of the quiz and, oh, no, this is not the page. I want that assignment editing page. Where in the world is that page? How am I going to find that? So here's your quick tip, like prepare mind to be blown. You go, I'm in my quiz. You go up to the URL. At the end of the URL, type in /edit. And now I'm on that assignment editing page. Megan Klosterman is going to keel over. She's like, holy moly, my life is different now. My life is so much better now that I can get back to that page. So I can go in and I can change the points. I can change who it's assigned to, all of that. So it's as simple as throwing that /edit on the end, and boom, you're in that edit page that nobody can ever find. So awesome.
All right. I see some smiles. I saw you, Kelly Hardings. I saw that big smile.
The tears of the time wasted trying to find that page. All right, the next tip, the next URL tip is if you are on the home page. So this is, in Canvas, it's not super easy to do accidentally, but it happens. You deleted a page that you actually wanted to use. You deleted an assignment. Oh, I wanted that announcement. Where did it go? If you go to your home page, and at the end of your URL for your home page, you type in /undelete. which I'm not sure is a word, but /undelete. And just so you guys know, in the presentation, when I send it out, all of these tips are either in a video or a GIF to show you how to do it, to remind you. But if you do /undelete, a whole list of announcements, and this is my test course, so a lot of things are called test or no title because, but you get your announcements that I've deleted, assignment groups I've deleted, assignments. I saw some groups, some classroom groups that I had deleted. So and I will let you know that this is not foolproof. Like, this is not an entire listing of everything I've ever deleted in my course, but it's got a lot of it, and it's worked for some people who have lost things in the past. But if I see, I'm like, oh, this quiz, I really wanted this, I didn't mean to delete it, you just go restore, and now it's going to be back in my course. So a nice little, just like, oops, and if you don't remember the /undelete, just remember, oh, it can be done. So if I delete something and I think I've lost it forever, I haven't in Canvas. No worries there. So hopefully those can save you some time in Canvas. The URLs, if you know how to work them, there's a lot of magic that can happen in there. All right, the last tip, and we're going to try, and number one, I'm obsessed with keyboard shortcuts. But what are keyboard shortcuts there for? They're there to save, well, if your mouse dies, they're there for that. But they're also there to save you time. So anything that you're doing repetitively, if you can do a keyboard shortcut for it, I mean, it's going to save you a lot of time. So I'm going to share one of my most used keyboard shortcuts, besides like Control-C for copy and Control-V, and that is Control-K. And if you are not using it, like, basically, have you ever hyperlinked something? Have you ever put a link for text? Have you ever hyperlinked some text? If you have, Control-K can save your life, can save you some time. So I'm going to go into a Canvas page. And the nice thing about this shortcut is it's not a Google shortcut, it's not a Canvas shortcut. It works almost anywhere. But let's say I wanted to link a website here. I'm going to highlight my text, and in Canvas, I could go and find the link button, or in Google, I could go find insert link. But if I do Control-K, there's the place where I can put my URL and I can link in there. There's the WeVideos link that I wanted. So Control-K for me, with keyboard shortcuts, it's one of the ones I use all the time. But for keyboard shortcuts especially, like, don't think, oh, here's my list of 20 different keyboard shortcuts and let me try all of them. Like, try one, and it's almost like you want to put like a little Post-it note on your computer to like remind you of that shortcut, and kind of just get used to using it. You almost have to like force yourself to use it to kind of get to that time-saving spot. So that's one of my favorites, and we'll try and throw some keyboard shortcuts in there as well, because that's definitely a time saver. I always give Lauren a hard time about not using. I'm like, you should be really pressing Control-K there. What are you doing? So we're going to share, to end here, a couple of tips that were given by high school and middle school teachers. So Lauren, you're going to take the first one.
Yep. So real quick, just I don't know if you're like me, sometimes when you're in a hurry and putting things in your drive or creating new documents, whenever you just open your drive and start creating, you have no clue where it's at, what you named it, it's lost. So one tip that came from Julia Kunkel was a good way to go about it is to find the folder that you want to put the document or the slideshow in, and then create the slideshow or document, because then you're already in that folder in that location that you want it to live. So go to your living space and then open it there. And that way you don't have to go back and reorganize at the end of the year like I desperately need to do. Go ahead, Ash.
All right. The next tip comes from Sam Froge, and she is our resident Nearpod expert. And if you're a Nearpod user, this is one of my frustrations with it. In Nearpod, you can't hyperlink things. You can't use Control-K. The links don't work. Videos don't work if you like bring them in from a slide. You have to do something like special to get. But what she's found and suggested was, if you want to do clickable content, things that kids can interact with, create a slide, create a Google slide and put those links on it or videos. And then what you do is you use the web content feature. And if you're not in Nearpod, then you're like, what is she talking about? But use the web content feature. And then you're basically sending the kids to that website, which is actually just your slide. And then they can click on the links, they can click on the video, they can do those interactions that you wanted designed into your presentation. So she would be happy to help you with that, but so would I if you want to, if that's a frustration of yours in Nearpod, because I know it's a frustration.
And then real quick, the last one, if you have not used rubrics yet and you do any type of presentations, labs, something that follows kind of the same type of rubric throughout the year, doing it in Canvas is a game changer in terms of saving time, passing back papers to kids. Cause I knew when I passed back rubric papers, they ended up in the recycling bin. They wanted to see the grade and it was over. But doing it in Canvas allows you to click, 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 imports the grade into the grade book. The students and the parents can see exactly what those kids got on the rubric. And there's no guessing in terms of, well, why did my sweet baby boy or girl get a 2 on this? Well, you can see the electronic rubric linked in Canvas exactly why, versus that little rubric handout that ended up in the trash can with all the teacher feedback on it. So if you haven't used rubrics, been a big game changer for teachers up here at the high school.
So I know you guys have to run to class. Most of you kids are probably coming in. So thank you so much for coming. I'll send out the presentation. So all that information is in there, like actual videos and demos and everything. So let me know if there's anything you want to explore further. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody.